Good afternoon. We're going on the record. This begins a video deposition of Sharon Provost, taken in the matter of Sterling Green Community Improvement Association versus Thomas Olson. It's January 14th, 2021, and the time is 4:45 p.m. This deposition is being taken via Zoom. The videographer is Michael Stingo. The court reporter is Caroline Massa, both on behalf of Magna Legal Services. Counsel would like to introduce themselves, then the court reporter, please swear in the witness.
Bill Chesney, Chesney, for the plaintiff Sterling Green Community Improvement Association, Inc.
Matt Walker for Tom Olson.
Just proceeding under Texas Rules, Counsel.
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name for us?
Yes, Sharon Provost.
What's your current address?
12335 Queens River Drive, Houston, Texas 77044.
What's your date of birth?
11/2/1975.
Ms. Provost, you understand that you're in a deposition right now and you've been placed under oath and are required to answer my questions truthfully. Yes?
I do.
Okay. You were very recently the corporate representative in a deposition for Sterling Green in this lawsuit, yes?
Very recently, yes.
Those questions and your answers should be pretty fresh in your mind since I think we finished that deposition maybe 15 minutes ago.
So.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Mine too. I'm going to try to ask you some basic questions about your individual knowledge now. You understand that? Okay. I know we went back and forth a little bit about corporate knowledge versus you, but now you're in your own individual deposition. This is your testimony based on your personal knowledge, yes?
Okay.
But understanding that though, can we agree that the answers that you gave for Sterling Green also incorporated your personal knowledge of some of the facts and the issues in this case?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Turn you up.
Can we agree that some of the information that you gave, the answers that you gave for Sterling Green, incorporated your knowledge?
Well, it was the combination, but it was the association's knowledge.
I understand.
Mainly.
Let me answer for Matt.
Okay.
Matt, I did have an agreement with Peter Zavodnik that you could utilize the corporate testimony and her testimony if it was combined as an individual too.
Okay. Well, I don't expect it, but you know, your answers for the corporation, I wouldn't expect to be different from your answers as Sharon Provost, if we're talking about a fact, okay? I mean, something that Sharon Provost, the individual witnessed, would count as, you would base that knowledge on if you were answering for the corporation, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So, we don't have to go through a lot of things, but I mean, you know that Sterling Green is sued Tom Olson to try to recover money that Sterling Green says was used by Tom Olson for transactions that were unauthorized. That's kind of the general premise of this lawsuit, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, you got asked a lot of questions as the corporate representative about, the association's knowledge of what was done with some of that, some of the funds and some of the transactions that were at issue. Do you remember some of those questions?
You probably have to refresh my memory, but I know you asked me questions, but.
Yeah, like for example, the cash withdrawals. The answer for the corporate representative was Sterling Green has no information about what was done with that cash.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I don't know either.
Yeah, and the answer for Sharon Provost would be, I also don't know, right?
Right, I don't know.
Okay. Or you're not going to give us any different answers than you did when you were operating as the
Absolutely not.
corporate representative. Okay. That takes care of, a huge swath this lawsuit. And I understand, I mean, you put together a whole thing about damages for Sterling Green and it's, the information, that spreadsheet that we marked as Exhibit I, that was a summary. And that kind of, you don't have further information to add to that. You try to include all your knowledge and the corporation's knowledge in that spreadsheet, right?
And yes, that's so.
Okay. All right. See, we just cut this deposition way in half.
Awesome.
sorry, and that's some broad brush kind of stuff, but it saves everybody a lot of time. So
Right.
Let's start with you, Sharon Provost, person. Where'd you grow up?
Where'd I grow up? In Houston, Texas.
Okay. And, I'm going to ask you some questions now about you because you're going to be a witness in this case. And so, I need to find out who you are. So you grew up in Houston. Did you graduate from high school?
I have a high school diploma. Yes.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Sea King High School, but I got my diploma from Eagle Learning Center.
Okay. What is Eagle Learning Center?
It's if you don't complete high school, if you have any reasons, you can go there and get your high school diploma. And that's where I went. But it's a diploma, nonetheless. I can still go to college with it.
I understand.
Okay.
When did you get the diploma from the Eagle Learning Center?
I believe it was a few years after I graduated, so I'd have to look at it. I don't really quite remember. I'm old, let's put it that way. So
Can't be older than me. So
I don't know about that.
Or Bill, certainly.
True.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that one.
Yeah.
I'm just joking, Bill.
So, well, I guess maybe I don't understand your prior answer. Did you graduate on one day and receive your diploma some years afterwards?
Yes. Well, no. What happened was I left school, and then years later I went back and got I didn't get a GED. It's considered a high school diploma.
Got it.
And I don't know what year exactly that was. I mean, like I said, and I don't know. I went to college too, and I don't know what year that was, but I can tell you what I went to school for. So.
Okay. Well, and that was going to be my next question.
Okay.
When did you go to college, and what'd you study?
Actually, I went to San Jacinto North College, and I actually went for just basic computer skills. And then I went for bookkeeping, actually, and I wanted to be an accountant. And I got credit hours for bookkeeping. I have a certificate to show that for some bookkeeping, but I didn't pursue it.
Well, about how many credit hours did you earn in bookkeeping?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I didn't know it was going to be asked.
Did you earn some kind of certification?
I do have a certification, bookkeeping certification.
Okay. And what's it called, and when did you earn it?
What is it
called? What kind of certification did you earn?
It's just a bookkeeping certification stating that I did the hours to require certification for the bookkeeping. It wasn't anything for accounting or anything like that. But that's what I wanted to do.
All right.
Too many numbers.
Understand. Was there a particular organization that issued the certification to you?
Yeah, it was the San Jacinto College.
Okay. Do you remember what year you earned it?
I don't know. That's what I'm telling you. Maybe 2000. I could not. I don't want to guess. I'd have to.
Okay. Well, maybe it's easier to kind of talk about it in broader terms. Graduate from, well, you leave high school, and then did you get a job?
I got a job at 16. I've been working since I've been 16 years old.
Sure.
Well, actually, probably sooner than that. I was babysitting probably at 12 years old.
Yeah,
so.
But after you left high school, you weren't in high school anymore. So were you working?
Yeah, I worked. I don't remember. I mean, you have to understand, I was born in 75. It's not like I was born in 95. So I've had many jobs, I mean, when I was a kid, you know. I worked at Kroger's, I worked at Apple Tree, I worked at Garland's, I worked at
Yeah.
pharmacy one time. I
Yeah.
worked at many different, you know, when I was a child. I worked at Church's Chicken when I was 16. Let me see. Do we want to keep going?
Well, I understand that, but you know, there's a
when you said Gerland's.
Oh, you remember Gerland's? See,
Yeah.
I told you I was old.
I don't know what that is. No idea.
See, I'm older than you.
No, I'm not from the South, so maybe that's
okay.
Maybe that's a Texas thing.
Oh.
So
you're like Piggly Wiggly.
I know what that is.
I bet.
Okay. So all I'm saying is there's a time in your life where you're a student, you know, like in high school, and you might have jobs. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when, you know, you left high school and you're an adult and you're working full time. Let's say you're 18 years old. Are you working at that point?
Well, I can't go back to all that. I mean, I really can't. I can't tell you everything I've done from what job I've had since 18. It's not going to happen. And I'm not the one being sued. So let's move on about
Oh,
what
you're
I've
a witness, so I need to
I
know
know, but
about
I
your
cannot
background
tell
and your
you what I have
qualifications.
done. I can't.
Okay. You don't remember what job you had at 18?
Just
No,
try.
I cannot. I just told you I can't.
Okay. What's the first full-time job you had?
I can't remember that either.
All right. What's the first salaried job that you had?
I can't remember that either.
And then, so you're employed now, right?
I am.
By Sterling Green?
Yeah.
You have a title?
I do.
What is it?
It's office manager, property manager.
Do you have a list of written job duties?
I do.
And what's that called?
What do you mean? What's it called?
What's the list called?
What's the list called?
Yeah.
Job
Is it
duty?
Is it a job description?
Yeah.
You have a written job description?
Yeah.
How long have you been employed in that role?
April 2019.
Before April of 2019, you were also employed at Sterling Green, right?
That is correct.
And you were employed as an administrative assistant?
Yes.
Was that your job title?
Yes.
How long did you hold the administrative assistant job title?
From 16 till 19.
Was there a written job description for that?
I'm sure there was. I don't remember. Sure, they told me what to do.
Well, but you had a job description.
I had a job description, yes.
Okay. Who hired you?
When I first started working there, or like permanent, because I went in as temporary.
Okay. What was the first job that you had with Sterling Green?
Same thing, but I went in as a temporary. So
Okay.
I guess Clayton Services hired me to go in for Sterling Green. And then Dorothy Malvo hired me permanent in August of 2016.
So you started out as a temporary administrative assistant in 2016. Yes? Your volume is gone for some reason.
Are you there, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And how long were you temporary before you were hired full-time?
May to August.
So in August 2016, you become a full-time employee of Sterling Green. Yes. And Dorothy Malvo was your supervisor.
Correct.
And is she the only person who supervised your work?
Yes.
In August of 2016, were there any other managers of the association above you?
Say that again?
Yeah, in August of 2016, were there any other managers of the association above you aside from Dorothy Malveaux?
Oh, no, she was the only manager other than the board.
When you became a full-time employee, were you given any written employee evaluations?
I can't recall. You said in 2016?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. 2017, did you have an employee evaluation?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Were you paid bonuses?
No,
You were just paid a salary?
I was paid hourly.
All right. Do you remember what your rate of pay was?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say it. It's
Well, I mean,
nobody's
I know what
business.
I probably know what it is anywhere. I could at least look it up. So
Yeah, you can look it up. I can't even probably remember that. I can't remember that.
we
It's
can talk about
been
it.
since 2016. Come on.
All right. And when you were paid by the association, you were paid with the W-2? I'm sorry. That's bad.
I got
Sorry,
a W-2.
I know. You got a W-2 when you were paid by them, right?
I was paid, yeah, by the association. Yeah.
Dorothy Malveaux, she signed your checks?
I can't remember. I don't know. I don't think so. I think she went through Wells Fargo. So I don't know how that was. I don't remember what the checks looked like.
Prior to the association, you, I think you mentioned Clayton's services. Were you doing temp work through them?
I did temp work. I'm sorry. My mom's cooking or something. You said it do what?
Did you do temp work through Clayton Services before being hired by the association?
No, that was the first place they put me was Malvo.
All right.
Is Sterling Green. Malvo.
So you applied to Clayton Services and then they placed you with Sterling Green and that was your first placement.
For that company, yes.
Right. So prior to Clayton Services, where were you working?
Actually, where did I work? I think I just came back from Mississippi. I was in Mississippi for a little bit. I was an office manager in Mississippi, but that didn't pan out. So I just didn't like it in Mississippi. It was Meridian. Oh, I don't ever go there. But I didn't like it, so I came back and then I applied there. So I had left another job that I was at for 2 years, which was Russ Car Services, and really enjoyed that. But me and my husband at the time decided to take a husband and wife job in Mississippi, and we went there. He was a supervisor over one department. I was a supervisor over the office. We really didn't like living there, and so we were going to put our home up for sale. We didn't. I'm just going to give you a rough, and we didn't. So we came back, and then that's when I went ahead and applied for Clayton, and then I got Sterling Green. So.
All right. I know you mentioned some college classes, but you don't have a college degree, correct?
No.
All right. You don't have any licenses in any occupations in the state of Texas, right? Like real estate, accounting. You're obviously not a lawyer. You're
Obviously. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't know if you answered that question, Sharon.
I said, no, I do not. I didn't answer it.
Okay. Yeah.
But he knew the answer.
Stop harassing your witness.
I'll try to.
Yeah, quit harassing your witness. Jeez.
So, how many years did you spend in Mississippi?
We weren't there for years because they actually put us up in a hotel because I have a home here in Houston. We was thinking about going over there. They put us up in a hotel. It was me, my husband, and my son. And my son was little, and so it just wasn't working out. I didn't like. We looked for houses. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do. I didn't want to make that move, and so we just didn't do it. So it was just about probably, I guess maybe, I don't know. My husband went before I did, and he was there a few months, and then I finished out over here at Russ Car, and then I moved over there. So I can't really tell you. Maybe about 4 months we were there, and then we decided that it wasn't going to work out. He came back and got his old position at his job, and then my position was already taken, and so I went ahead, and that's when I went to Clayton. That.
We have administrative assistant and office manager, and I think you mentioned some fast food jobs that you had when you were younger. Have you had any other kinds of jobs in your working career?
Yeah, I was in human resources. I was over. I did. I mean, everything the human resources would do: insurance, time cards. The payroll, I did some bookkeeping, a lot of filing. That's just one of the jobs I did, and I did that for a couple of years. Then, like I said, I was the office manager there, and then before that, I can't even recall. But I've worked in the office a good bit, different places, and I also took care of the elderly at one point in my life. Like I said, I have a whole lot of life right there. So I did a whole lot of different things. But yeah.
Who'd you work for when you were working in HR?
Russ Car.
And
I'm sure Thomas Olson gave you all that information already because he's already called the job and checked on it.
Well, honestly, I mean, it's not really responsible.
I'm just saying, you would know all this information, but I guess it's for the record.
Yeah, I guess non-responsive, objection, but yeah. So you worked for Rescar for how many years?
For around 2 years. Yeah.
And you were in the its HR department.
Correct.
What about before Rescar? Can you expect other than that?
I can't remember.
What's that?
14. I had a bad accident. I believe it was in 14, and I was life flighted. And I was taken to Memorial Hermann. I was in ICU, so it kind of took me out of commission for a little bit. I don't remember. I have a fraction in my head and stuff, and I have plates and stuff like that. So it's just, so that time of my life was kind of a little blur because a lot of stuff happened to me in 2000 right before then. It was a bad accident. And
Do any of those conditions affect your memory?
No, not my memory.
Right.
My memory's good.
Okay, your short-term memory's fine, long-term memory's fine.
Well, you're gonna ask me all the way from 16. No, I don't even think, a lot of people can't remember all the way 15. Well, you might can, but right. No, I can remember what happened yesterday. I'm good.
Nothing about those injuries that would prevent you from being a witness in a case and telling the truth.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I know. I'm drinking too much coffee today. Sorry.
That's okay. Are you currently married?
No, I'm not.
All right. And how many children do you have?
I have one biological son, and I raise my niece.
Okay. Are either of those kids over the age of 18 where we would expect them to possibly wind up on a jury without knowing it?
Excuse me?
Are either of them old enough to be on a jury? Your kids?
My kids, my niece is old enough to be on a jury.
Okay. What's her name?
My son's not.
Okay. Well, what's the niece's name?
And I'm not going to say her name.
The reason I asked about the jury is because if somebody on the jury panel knows you or knows your family or honestly winds up
she's
being
not going to
there,
end up on no jury. I can guarantee you that she's not.
I can't guarantee that. So
Well,
what you're saying is you don't want to tell me what your
my
niece's
niece.
name is.
You want to know my whole family's name? That's
No,
not
I'm
going to
asking
happen.
about your kids. Do you
My
have
son
kids?
is 9.
Okay.
My niece is not going to end up on a. That would be like my mom ending up on a jury. You want to know her name? Or that would be like my aunt.
Next. Don't just try to answer the simple question he asks you.
Okay. Non-responsive.
All right. You're just going to refuse to give me that information.
Yes, I am.
Who are the persons that you currently live with?
My family.
And those people include who?
My family.
And their names are what?
That's none of your business either.
All right. You're just going to refuse to give me that
I
information.
am. You're not going to know about my family, especially if Tom Olson's on here listening, because I don't trust him at all.
All right. This is background information about you.
Well, then he probably already knows everything. Ask him.
Aaron, just answer the question and I will interject.
Okay.
And I will tell you, you don't have to give them the names of the people that live with you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So you're instructing her not to answer?
Yes.
All right. So have we covered as much as you can remember about your employment history?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever been convicted of any crimes?
Of any what?
Have you ever been convicted of any crimes?
Convicted? No.
Yes. You have no criminal convictions, either by a jury or by plea bargain.
I'll object to
Go ahead.
I'll object to form, and the proper question is in the last 10 years for starters. So
you can answer.
Well, I'm instructed her not to answer. I think she's already answered it.
Past 10 years, have you been convicted of any crimes, either by jury or plea bargain?
No, I have not.
What's your full name?
Sharon Provost.
Is Provost your maiden name?
Sharon Provost.
Provost, your last name is your maiden name.
Provost is my maiden name.
Okay. When you were married, were you known by another name?
No.
You've never changed your name after you got married?
I never changed my name.
Did you ever, have you ever been known by any other names?
No, I have not.
You have a middle name?
Do I have a middle name?
Yes.
Yes.
What is that?
Lee.
Other than Texas and Mississippi, have you lived in other states?
I have lived in Florida.
When did you live in Florida?
When I was younger.
And by that, you mean when?
When I was younger, I don't know the dates nor the
You don't
years.
know?
Nope.
How long did you live in Florida?
I can't remember that either.
Was it before Mississippi?
Yeah, it was when I was younger. When I
Younger
was
in what age?
like younger, like in my 20s.
In your 20s, you lived in Florida.
Yes.
How many times have you been married?
Once.
When you were in Florida, were you working?
I'm sure I was.
Do you remember any jobs you held while you were living there?
I can't recall.
What were your duties when you were first employed on a full-time basis as an administrative assistant with Sterling Green?
I guess answer the phones, just data enter the payments, filing, you know, stuff like that. Just admin work duties.
What payments would you enter?
Payments like payments that came in from, you know, association fees.
Did homeowners pay assessments there on a yearly basis?
Yes.
And when you were an administrative assistant full-time in 2016, maybe we can talk about that early 2017 period. How did association members pay their assessments?
I guess they would come in and pay them, or they would send them in through mail.
All right. What are the payments that you would take from people and enter?
Meaning, like, you talking
Well,
about like,
let me ask this: what kind of payment data did you enter into Sterling Green's system?
like if it was a check for the amount of whatever the check was for, you would put it into their account that they paid.
Right. Did someone walk up to the office and give you a check for you to
They'd
enter?
walk up, huh? Excuse me?
For you to enter? Would somebody walk up to the office to give you a check for you to enter?
That's not how, no, they'd walk up, they'd give me a check to pay it on their assessments, and I'd give them a receipt.
Other than people walking up to make payments, were you responsible for doing any other data entry for payments made to the association?
No,
So just any walk-up owners who were making some kind of payment to the association, that's when you would take in payments.
yeah, I mean, when they would pay on something, yeah, when they would pay on their assessments, or some people did prepay.
All right. What about the bookkeeping for the association? Who did that in 2017?
I'm guessing Dorothy Malvo did.
Okay. Do you know one way or another?
That's whom I would assume, yes, Dorothy Malvo.
Okay. You didn't have any responsibility for keeping the books, is that right?
No, that's
Okay.
right.
Other than entering these payments that you took from walk-in owners, you didn't have any other responsibilities in terms of making entries into the association's financial records?
No, like in 2016, no, I did not. In 2017, I might have entered into TOPS checks that was written, like for the electric bill and stuff like that, mud bill, you know, like the receivables and payables, stuff like that. But that's it. Nothing. I didn't do any kind of major bookkeeping. No.
And what would you consider bookkeeping to involve?
Well, I guess keeping records and reports and stuff of your daily, you know, financial operation.
Okay. Keeping track of expenses, that's part of bookkeeping.
I would think so.
Okay. Receipts, making entries related to receipts.
Yeah, I would think all that would be under the, you know, under that definition of bookkeeping.
Okay. If there was an expenditure for the association in 2017 while you were an administrative assistant. The record keeping or the bookkeeping for that would be handled by Dorothy Malveaux, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be me. Yes.
So money that was spent by the association and the receipts for that would all be entries made by Malveaux.
Yes. Yes.
Did you have any
Or the,
responsibility?
yeah, well, she was the treasurer, huh?
Did you have any responsibility for reviewing any of the entries that she made into the system?
No.
Did you have any responsibility for reconciling any of the receipts for any expenses for the association?
No.
Right. I think you said you were a administrative assistant up until 2019, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Did your duties change in 2019?
Did I what?
Did your duties change in 2019?
Yes, I did.
All right. And you became, and let me ask this way. Maybe I think I already asked this. Your duties as an administrative assistant from 2016 to 2019 did not change, correct?
Well, they did change. Yes, when the receiver came in, they changed.
Okay. Well, that was a period of time in 2018, right? Where there was a receiver appointed?
It changed then, yes.
Okay. Prior to that, like the earlier part of 2018, your duties as an administrative assistant were the same as they were in 2017.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Sure. Earlier in the year in 2018, before a receiver was appointed, your duties were the same as they were in 2017.
Yeah.
Okay. Same responsibilities, right?
Yes.
And then a receiver was appointed. How did your duties change?
Then I was over mainly completely the whole office because I had to pay all the bills. I had to do everything that the manager would do pretty much other than run reports.
Okay. Well, while there was a receiver in place, did the receiver oversee some of your daily activity?
I worked with the receiver at the office of the receiver,
Right.
mainly.
Gave the receiver information that the receiver needed to do their job.
Correct.
Okay. And then in terms of doing the actual work necessary to pay bills and things like that, did you do that?
Yes.
So if the receiver said, I want you to pay this bill, you would be the one to go and actually cut the check for that?
No, they would have to cut the check. I would
Okay.
just, yeah, I would just get it ready for them, and then they would verify it, sign off on it, and then I would send it out.
Okay, all right. And entries into the system for Sterling Green at that point, were they made by the receiver?
No, they were made by me.
So after the receiver approved an expense, would you make an entry into Sterling Green's system?
I wouldn't make it into the system anymore, no, because it wasn't only me that got into it, and I didn't trust the people that was in the office, nor did I trust Tom Olson. So, and he, could get into the system, and so could some people that was working for him. So I didn't enter in. I would enter the payments into TOPS, but I wouldn't enter any bills or anything like that into TOPS.
Okay.
So that the account of the person would be accurate, but I couldn't run any reports.
Prior to Olson's election to the board of directors, was there ever some occasion where you generated either a balance sheet or an income statement or a budget for the association from the association system?
What's your time period? Would you say?
Before Olson became on the board. Was there ever a time where you yourself generated a financial statement from the association system?
Yeah, I would pull reports for Dorothy Malvo if she asked
Okay.
me to.
Okay. So there were occasions, do you have a recollection of there being an occasion where that happened?
No, not to pinpoint any time.
Okay. You just know that if she asked you to do that, that's one thing that you would do.
Correct.
And when Tom Olson was elected to the board, that occurred, I think, in March of 2018, right?
Yes.
Did your job duties change in March of 2018?
No.
What about April 2018? Your job duties changed then?
It was a mess in 2018 from April on up. So I don't know. I mean, I was there. I don't think they changed I don't think anybody had a job duty, to tell you the truth. But as far as I know, I still was there doing my job that I was supposed to do.
Well, early on, as a board member with the association, Olson was involved in terminating Dorothy Malvo as the manager for the office. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Did you take over managerial duties at that point?
No, Tom did.
Was there anyone else involved at the association level and managing the association at that point?
No, it was just Tom.
All right. What about Kathy Hairbottle?
Oh, that's who he put in that place so he could manage the office.
Okay. Kathy Hairbottle made the manager?
That's what he called her.
Okay. She was given that title?
By him, yes.
Okay. But your title didn't change?
No.
Were you given a raise?
At some point I was.
Were you given a raise after Malvo's termination?
I was.
In the month following it? In the month following her termination, were you given a raise?
I don't remember the date.
What kind of raise were you given?
I don't remember. I don't think that the raise was authorized anyway. So actually I shouldn't even have took it because it wasn't even authorized.
Well, at the time you got that raise, did you believe that it had not been authorized by the board?
I know it hadn't been.
Okay. Did you return the money?
What money? They didn't
The
give me
money
any.
that was part of your raise. Did you not accept the raise?
I couldn't stop them from giving me one. I would have had to quit. They
Okay.
put it on my books.
Right.
You
Did
could
you
ask
tell-
Tom Olson. I wasn't very happy the day that they told me I was getting it.
Did you tell any of the other board members, Malvo or Bass or anyone else?
Well, Gloria knew, and she knew that it wasn't approved.
Okay. What about Dorothy Malvo? Was she aware that you were
I don't
given
know
a
if she
raise?
was aware of it or not.
You didn't have any conversations with her about that?
I don't recall.
Now, did you work in the office on a daily basis?
I did.
Okay, in 2018, when Tom Olson was made a board member, you worked in the Sterling Green office daily.
Yes.
What were your hours?
8 to 5.
Did you keep track of your time? In other words, did you
There's
punch
a
a clock
time.
in and out?
Yeah, I clocked in and out.
Okay. was that any different than before? In other words, I mean, 2017, you were clocking in and out, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Were there other changes to the office that, well, withdrawn? Early on, after Tom was appointed to the board, elected to the board, he obtained keys to the association office. Do you recall that?
He retained keys. He actually stole keys. That's
He
what happened.
obtained keys, right?
He got them.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
Okay. Well, in March, Tom Olson came up with a bunch of proxies in his hands at the election. And then you know the rest. I think you've heard all that. But he came into the office, I believe it was the next day or whenever, and he wanted a set of keys. And he said that he should have a set of keys to the office because he was a board member. And Dorothy Malvo refused to give him a set of keys. I don't recall how he got a set, but I know he did. And he went and the next day came in while nobody was there and broke into her petty cash and stole her petty cash out of her drawer, out of her cabinet, and went and got copies of like $200 worth of keys to give to everybody because he said that everybody on the board should have a set of keys. Okay, and then Dorothy Malvo put a deadbolt lock on her door, and he come with the sawzall and sawed off her lock, off of her office, and broke into her office.
Did you have a conversation with Dorothy Malvo about whether or not Tom Olson should have keys to the office?
I don't remember if we had a conversation about it or not.
All right, what was Dorothy Malvo's objection to Tom Olson having a key to the office?
You would have to ask her.
Did you have an objection to him having a key?
It's not my say. I don't know whether he should have had a set or not.
Well, that wasn't my question. Did you object to Tom Olson having a key to the office?
That wouldn't have been my call. That would have been the board's call.
Right.
Whether I object to it or not, it's irrelevant.
So you were not opposed to Tom having a key to the office?
If it was done correctly, there's nothing, I wouldn't have been opposed to it if he went to the board and the board agreed for him to have them.
Well, you said earlier that he came to the office and asked for a set of keys.
Right.
Did he ask you for a set of keys?
I think he was asking everybody for a set of keys, but
well, did he ask you for a set of keys?
I cannot recall whether he directly asked me or not. I know that he asked Dorothy Malvo for a set.
All right. And were you at all involved in the conversation he had with Dorothy Malvo about getting a set of keys to the office?
I heard them talking.
Okay. And so Dorothy Malvo didn't want to give her keys.
Right. Dorothy he was trying to grab them out of her hands.
Hold on. Let me finish my question. Dorothy Malvo did not want to give Tom a key to the office.
Right.
And you heard their conversation.
Right. And he was trying to grab the keys out of her hand. I saw that.
What did Dorothy Malvo say was the reason that she did not want to give Olson a key to the office?
She just wanted him out of the office because he was bullying her. And she asked him to leave, and he would not leave. And it just got really, really awful.
Did she say a reason that he could not have a key to the office?
I can't remember whether she did or not. I know she was asking him and begging him to get out of the office, and he would not leave. And he was trying to fight her for the keys.
Okay. And we know from the earlier deposition that there was no rule that said corporate association board members couldn't have keys to the office, right?
Yeah, but there's a way you go about getting keys or a way about doing things, and that wasn't appropriate.
We've been 6 minutes on talking about keys. Is there some big?
I know, right?
We haven't even scratched the surface.
On the keys?
On the keys?
I love keys. Come on. So, well, this is the start of it. And, there's all sorts of nonsense that they're saying he did. So I want to get to it. So, your testimony is that you didn't have an opinion about whether Tom should have a set of keys or not. You didn't oppose it at all.
I can't. I mean, I'm an employee. I wasn't a board member. So, I mean, whether you ask me what I felt, that's just an opinion of what I feel. And I don't think that's relevant.
And then
whether I
the
feel
next
he should
thing you
have it or
said
not.
was that he stole petty cash.
Yes, he did.
All right. So the question to you is, did you witness him take petty cash to go buy
He admitted
keys?
to it. He
That's not
admitted.
my question, Ms. Provost. My question is, did you see Tom Olson take petty cash?
No, I did not see him, but he admitted that he did.
Did
do it.
you? And I'll objection non-responsive. Okay.
It's responsive.
It is not responsive. I asked what she saw. I didn't ask what she heard from someone at some later date.
I guess an
So
admission against interest is evidence,
I'm
isn't
not
it?
saying it's not admissible. I'm saying it wasn't responsive to my question, Bill. So you can stop with the objection again, and except by saying form.
But you asked my opinion most of the
I
time.
did not
so I'm
ask your
giving it
opinion,
to
Ms.
you.
Provost. So
Not
please
this
ask me-
time.
So please let me finish my question. The question was a simple one. Did you see Tom Olson take petty cash?
I did not.
Good. See, was that so hard? Was
No,
that
it
difficult?
wasn't. But he admitted to it, though.
Objection to the non-responsive portion. So you also said something about Sawzall was used.
Yes, I guess it was a Sawzall. It was cut clean. It was a clean cut from.
Was there a lock on the door that was put there?
Yeah, it was put there by Dorothy Malvo.
So Tom Olson got keys. He went and made a bunch of keys. And did he hand them out to people?
Yeah, but let me tell you, he couldn't get into her office. That was the only key he couldn't get. So to show her that he could get into her office, he cut that lock and went into her office just to prove that he could do that.
All right. This wasn't private property, right? This is the association's property.
Yeah, it's not Tom Olson's property.
It wasn't Dorothy Malvo's property, right?
Sterling Green's property.
It wasn't Dorothy Malvo's.
She was the office manager. That was her office.
Okay.
So that was her property at the time. That's what the board gave her as her property as the office manager.
Right. Are you aware of any documents that authorized Dorothy Malvo to prevent access from board members to the association records and offices?
No.
So I guess you're saying, let me ask this. Did you see Tom Olson use a Sawzall to get into the office?
I did not see him, but I know he did it.
Okay, so how do you know that he did it?
He'll tell you he did it. Ask him.
Well, I'm asking you.
Well, just ask him. He'll admit to it. Well, he has.
Well, let's get to that.
He just
Okay.
asked you, Sharon. How did you know? Did he tell you he did it?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's admitted to it.
Well, then
Yeah.
that's what we're
I've said that.
now. Bill's getting angry with you. Don't. I'm trying to give you the room to tell me what you heard or what he said.
I'm telling you, ask him. I mean, if you want to know.
I'm asking you what he
Okay.
said. We're
Go
getting
ahead.
to
That's
that.
it. All right.
All right. At some point in time, did Tom Olson say in your presence that he took keys to make extra key copies?
Yes, he did. in
Tell
my
me about
presence.
that. Tell me about that conversation.
He said that everybody on the board and all the employees deserve keys to the offices and the gates.
All right. What about the Sawzall? Did he ever say something about that?
I can't recall exactly what was said about the Sawzall, so I'm going to leave that one alone.
All right. You don't have a recollection of statements he made?
I do know it was you. I don't even know if it was a Sawzall, but he said a blade was taken, and he said he got into the office. I don't know how he didn't say a Sawzall exactly.
All right. As the administrative assistant, did you attend board meetings?
Not before 2018.
So in 2017, you didn't attend any board meetings?
No,
No?
no.
In 2018, before Tom was elected to the board, did you attend any board meetings?
Say that again.
Yeah, in 2018, before Olson was elected to the board, did you attend any board meetings?
Not that I recall.
Up until the time of the lawsuit, had you attended any board meetings?
Yes.
Okay. The first board meeting you attended, it sounds like, would have been 2018. Is that right?
That I could recall.
And when did that board meeting happen?
I cannot remember.
Were you at a board meeting where Olson fired Malvo, or the board discussed, firing Malvo as the manager of the office?
I was at the meeting where he appointed himself, or he elected himself as president, or he wanted to be president, and it was seconded by Gloria. I was there at that meeting. But
Okay.
that I didn't go in, I didn't hear anything about Dorothy Malmo being fired at that meeting. It didn't
Okay.
happen. Unless
Well,
it happened
let's-
afterwards.
Let's talk about that meeting, okay?
Okay.
All right. There's a meeting where Olson, from your testimony, nominated himself to be president, and it sounds like someone else seconded it. Is that right?
Gloria Cox.
Okay. And do you remember when that meeting took place?
That was the April meeting that you're talking about.
Okay. And who else was at that meeting?
I can't recall.
What about Ms. Bass?
Yes, she was there.
And if Olson, Cox, and Bass are there, there's a quorum of board members, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just necessary to hold the meeting. What other business do you recall being discussed during that meeting?
I can't recall. I'd have to review the minutes. I can't remember.
All right. As you sit here today, you don't have any recollection.
Right.
Do you have any recollection of a discussion by any other statements from Olson made during that meeting that you can recall?
No, I didn't.
Any discussion about who was going to be a signatory on any of the bank accounts? Do you ever recall hearing that?
No, I know that
discussed
wasn't
at a
being-
meeting. Hold on.
No.
My
that
question
wasn't-
is, do you ever recall being at a meeting where it was discussed where who was going to be a signatory to the bank account?
No.
Now, after this meeting that you attended where Tom made himself the president, as you say.
I didn't say he made himself. I said he elected himself or
Sorry.
nominated himself.
Well, if he nominated himself and then that was seconded, and the board members who were there voted on it, okay, they could elect him to be the president.
That's
Okay.
fine. I didn't say anything against that.
Well-
I didn't say he made himself president. I didn't say
Okay.
that. You're
I
putting
get
words
it.
in my mouth again.
All right, well, I won't do that.
Please don't.
Let's try to agree on this, okay? At that meeting, Tom Olson nominated himself to be president. The nomination was seconded, and it was a vote, and he was elected as the president. Is that what happened?
Next question.
Well,
We've already went over that one. Let's go to the next question.
Is that what happened? That's all.
That's what we've already discussed.
So the answer to my question is yes.
He had nominated himself as being president. Yes, that's what happened.
Okay.
So I'm just
And-
saying,
and-
can we get on with this?
And he was elected. You have to answer my question. Was he elected?
Well, I mean, what do you consider elected? Yes, he was elected. He had nominated himself. He was I for himself, and then Gloria Cox, and then there was one abstain.
Okay.
So, do the math.
All right. So what's the next meeting you remember attending?
I don't recall.
All right. Did you go to a July meeting,
July what?
2018?
Yes,
Do you remember being at that meeting?
I do.
And what was discussed at that meeting by the board?
That meeting was
Right.
really crazy.
All right, well, tell me about it.
It was 4 board members there. They were yelling and screaming, and Tom Olson was yelling at everybody and screaming at everybody, and it was just really crazy. I do know that Gloria Cox discussed Tom Olson's behavior, and that she wanted, then they decided to nominate him to be from president to board at large, member at large. And then it was seconded, and then it was passed with 3, and Tom Olson just wouldn't say anything. And then they, I know that Dorothy Malville also became the secretary at that meeting. But, and then that's what I do know.
All right. Do you remember anything else about it?
Just, there was a lot of chaos at that meeting. That's all I remember. That's
All right.
the number one I remember.
All right. Things I've read in this case allege that Tom made some admissions about using funds for personal use. Do you remember him saying something like that at that meeting?
I do. I don't know what meeting it was. He said that he accidentally took his, made a mistake and took out the wrong credit card and paid his phone bill.
Okay. So I want to talk about that subject. You don't remember the date that Tom may have said that, but it's in the association's pleadings in this case that Tom made some admissions at some point in time about using personal funds for, or using funds for personal use. So
Right,
I
I did
want you
hear
to tell
it
me.
then.
So I want you to tell me if you have any recollection of hearing Tom saying something about using association funds for personal use.
Objection form, ask and answer.
Okay. Well, let me ask it this way. You said earlier you remember him saying something about using the wrong credit card for his cell phone bill.
Right.
Okay. You remember that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a recollection of Tom Olson ever saying anything else about using association funds for personal use?
As I recall, I believe that he said something about him using money to put gas in his truck because he had to move something. I can't really recall everything that was said, but he said that he needed to put gas in his truck.
Okay. And I'm asking it this way, Ms. Provost, because we show up at trial and you get on the stand and you say, Tom Olson told me, he took $1,000 and went to Mexico.
I'm not gonna lie.
Then I need to know that. I need to know what you're saying.
That's fine.
So right now we have the use of the only things you have ever heard Tom Olson say out of his own mouth about using funds, association funds for personal use was this mistake in paying the cell phone bill, and then getting some gas money or using some money to pay for gas. Are those the only 2 things?
That I can recall. I'm sure other people can recall other things, but that's what I heard.
Now, at the July 2nd, 2018 meeting, I mean, it's been alleged in this case that is where Olson made some admissions about using funds for personal use. But, as far as that meeting is concerned, do you have a recollection of him saying, anything else other than what we've talked about?
I can't recall. That was a crazy meeting.
All right. So who said what to whom, and the specific things about what were said at that meeting, you can't recall for us as you sit here today, right?
Yes, I mean, I can't recall. I do know that he did say those things, and $1,000 was mentioned. I don't remember how that took place. I know he said that he had $1,000 that he was getting a safe for, but that's not, he didn't say that he was using it. He just said that he had it. So that's the only thing that I know about the $1,000 that you're talking about.
All right. Earlier, well, when we had the corporate representative deposition, we were talking about a pool party.
A what? A pool party?
Yeah, pool party. So let me ask you some questions about that. pool party from the records we've seen was May 25, 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, but I just set a birthday party. I didn't know. I mean, it was at the pool, but yeah.
Okay. Well, it was a party. Okay.
Mm,
All
more
right.
or less.
All right. Did you go to that party?
I did.
All right. Did you eat food?
I don't know if I did. I'm sure I did.
Okay. Did you have any alcoholic beverages?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Um,
I wasn't on the board though.
was your
They should
family
be telling
there?
me no, no, no. Uh-huh.
Okay. Was your family there?
I believe I brought my kids. I'm not sure
Okay. Why were you there?
because Tom Olson said it was mandatory for the employees to show up if they could.
And so you decided to follow that direction and show up at the pool party?
Yeah.
Did Tom Olson say people are going to get fired if they don't show up at the party?
I don't recall him saying that they're going to get fired. No.
Did you see decorations that made it look like it was a birthday party for him?
Decorations? No.
Birthday cake? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see a whole lot. I wasn't paying attention to it all. I just seen a lot of alcohol and food.
Okay. But there wasn't a birthday cake there that you saw or birthday decorations or anything like that, right?
No, there was not.
So how long were you there at the party?
I can't recall.
Were you there the entire time?
I can't recall. I don't think so.
You don't recall seeing any other board members there?
No.
But there were a lot of other association employees there.
I don't remember who all was there. I do know there were some people there. I know there were some employees, yes, there.
Did you think that the pool party was something that shouldn't have happened?
Personally, that's really not, that wouldn't be my say. That would be the board's. So I don't know. I mean, that would be between the association, the board, and Tom Olson.
So you didn't have an opinion about it at that point?
At that point, I mean, I couldn't say. I was just an employee there, as I am now. But I know that it was told to me that it's not allowed to have, parties like that and alcohol.
When the Department of Labor came to the association and looked at its records, did they look at the records reflecting your time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also submit a claim through the Department of Labor against the association?
No, that was their finding, was 4 employees, and I was one of them.
Okay. And you were paid something as a result of that, is that
I
right?
wasn't paid anything. I've never received anything.
You never got a check from the Department of Labor?
Never got a check from the Department of Labor or from the
Or
association
anybody?
or from anyone.
Did you sign a settlement agreement?
No, I have not signed. I didn't sign anything.
Weird. Can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, I'm showing you what I've marked as, oh boy, I hate this thing.
Okay.
Exhibit C. And this is a check made out to Sharon Provost, $159.07. It's dated July 17, 2018. And it's the payee address is this Queens River Drive address in Houston.
Yeah, I see
Did you?
that.
Okay. Did you ever get this check?
I never got that check.
Never cashed this check?
Never cashed that check.
Huh. How does they have that document? Huh.
Yeah, how would you have that document?
We got all sorts of documents.
Yeah,
Because
we're going to get it.
I'm sure you do.
Send us some written discovery and we'll send you some.
Oh, it's coming. I assure you.
Thank
I assure you.
you for that, though.
Well, you know, I'll give you all the things you asked for potentially, but you got to ask for them.
Yeah.
So is there a point in time where you filed an EEOC charge against the association?
I did, complaining against Tom Olson.
And you accused him or the association of discrimination based on race and gender, is that right?
Yes.
So I hate Zoom. It's off the record. You can see Exhibit B on my screen, can't you?
Yeah, I can. That's the EEOC that I filed. That's correct.
All right. Charge of discrimination, is that your signature?
That is.
Did you file this July 9, 2018?
I'm guessing so, if that's what it says. I don't remember the date.
Had you already been subject to any discipline by the association or by Mr. Olson?
I've been verbally abused by Tom Olson since Tom Olson actually stepped foot into Sterling Green's office. So
Yeah,
yes,
well,
I would say that's a yes.
Well, there was a date that you were terminated.
I've never been terminated.
Okay, well, there was a date where Tom Olson attempted to terminate you.
Yes, he attempted to terminate me many times.
All right. On a few occasions, he said you're fired.
Yeah, a few occasions he did.
All right. And your complaint here says that since that date, March of 2018, when Olson was elected as a board member, he brought a gun into the office.
Yes.
And it is strictly prohibited by association policy. Do you see that?
That is true.
Is there a written policy against firearms?
Yes, and it's plastered everywhere. You cannot have them. I can actually show you what it's plastered. I think I have it.
I'm just asking if there's a written
yes, there
policy
is.
against firearms.
There's a policy, yes.
Okay. And you write here that he snatched my personal cell phone out of my hand and yelled at me in front of other employees. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
All right.
He did that.
That's something you allege that Tom did before you filed this EEOC complaint, right?
That's correct.
You're saying that comes in the office, he says something ugly to you or calls you a bitch?
He does. I mean, he did. He was very ugly to me and Miss Malvo, and to anybody he didn't like. To Ricardo, he tried to fire Ricardo. He tried to fire Minerva.
Okay. You don't like him, do you?
It's not about whether I like him or not. It's about doing the right thing. And he's not doing the right thing. He never did the right thing.
Do you like him or not? You don't like Tom Olson.
I dislike his actions, and I dislike the things that he has done.
You dislike Tom Olson.
I mean, I don't dislike human beings. I love human beings. I just dislike people's actions. You know, there's a way to do things, and the way Tom Olson went about doing anything was incorrect.
You never told anyone else that you dislike him?
I don't know what I've told other people. I mean, being angry, I might have said some things, but I'm like, you're asking me right now, and with a clear mind, not being angry or anything, I'm letting you know how I feel.
Well, at the time, there were occasions where you were angry at Tom Olson, right?
Well, of course. Wouldn't you be angry at someone that harassed you all the time?
Well, what are the things he harassed you about?
Oh, he would harass me for breathing. I mean, he harassed me all the time. It didn't matter. He just
Well, tell me
what
were his complaints?
Tom Olson hates me. Let's put it like that. He hates me.
What were your complaints about? What were his complaints about you?
I mean, you have to ask him that.
She probably didn't like a thief.
No, what were his complaints about you? And Bill, you can save your commentary. It should be stricken. So I'll object. And I know you're laughing, but we got a record here. So you said he harassed you. What did he harass you about?
Oh, harass me about? I thought you said why he didn't like me or whatever.
No, I didn't ask you about why he didn't like you. I didn't say
it. Well, I didn't hear you correctly.
He did, but go ahead.
No. What did Tom Olson harass you about?
Oh, he harassed me over everything. It did not matter what it was. I mean, you name it. I mean, go ahead, name something.
I can't because.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. He harassed me. He harassed me because I wasn't listening to him, or because I'm not understanding what he's trying to say. He harassed about everything, and it wasn't only me. He harassed most of the staff because he wanted to get his own people in there so he could do whatever he wanted to do. That is the truth.
All right. Saying that he harassed you about everything, does nothing for anybody.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, I don't know what that means.
How about I write a list down? I'll sit down, I'll think about everything, and I'll write it down and I'll send it to you.
Well, this is your deposition, Ms. Provost, so I need to hear your testimony right now about what are the things that Tom Olson harassed you about. I'm assuming, going to tell a jury about these things if you're allowed to. So you tell me, what are the things that he supposedly harassed you about?
Yeah, he harassed me because he would always come in there and say that I was doing this wrong, or I'm not supposed to be doing that, or, I need to be following direction, or he'd have Kathy Hairbottle go run and say that I'm doing this or that I'm on the phone, and then he'd come up there, he'll call Gloria and tell Gloria to come up there, and I mean, it was always something that I was doing something wrong. He knew that we didn't, he knew that he didn't like me, and it really didn't matter to me whether he did or not, but the harassment needed to stop, and he wouldn't stop harassing me. He would call me names. I mean, I even have a statement from one of the employees that he called me, that he would say that bitch and all that right there in front of the employees if I'd walk out of the room. I have a statement.
What statement? Who'd you take a statement from?
Allison Humphrey.
So you have a written statement from Allison Humphrey?
Yes.
And in that statement, and in that statement, Allison Humphrey says what? She witnessed Tom Olson be mean to you?
Yes.
All right.
That what?
Anything else? Did he ever call you, a bitch to your face? Did he say that to you?
Yeah, I've heard him say it to my face.
Okay, that's what he said to you.
He's actually snatched my phone out of my hand. What would you call that? You wouldn't call that harassment? He brought an ugly safe into the office. And
Tell
when
me-
he brought that safe in there, Saif Al-Chalabi called him up and told him that I took a picture of the safe, which I did, and I sent it to Gloria because she told me to let her know when the safe came in. And he come running up to the office and asked to see my phone, and I had my phone in my hand, and he snatched it out of my hand and told me not to be taking pictures of anything. So I would call that harassment.
All right. So I want to ask you about that.
Okay.
You had a phone in your hand and you were taking pictures of something?
I took a picture of the safe because Gloria Cox asked me when if the safe ever showed up, to let her know. And so I stood in the doorway and took a picture of it and sent it to her. And Safe called Tom Olson and told Tom about it. And then Tom come up to the office yelling and screaming at me. And I had my phone in my hand when he was yelling at me and snatched it out of my hand.
All right.
So, and I snatched it back from him, told him not to be grabbing anything from out of my hands like that.
Oh. You wrote in your EEOC charge that you think you were discriminated against because of the fact that you were female and race, that you were Black. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. What's the basis for that?
Okay, well, Dorothy Malvo, myself, Linda Bass, all are Black women. He cannot stand none of us. When he went in there, his whole target was to target us. He put Kathy Hairbottle in as his own little manager, white woman. I mean, I'm just letting you know, this is where I'm going with this. He is very racist and sexist, I believe, but that's
Right.
my personal opinion.
Okay.
So,
Did
and
you ever
that's
hear
the way
him-
he treated me, that's what I would go off of.
All right. Did you ever hear him make
And
any
calling me a
racist?
bitch.
Did you ever
Go
hear
ahead.
him make any racist comments?
Racist? No.
Oh, there was a point in time that you signed an affidavit in this case. You aware of that? You remember that?
I'm sure I have.
Do you remember signing an affidavit? Here, let me show it to you.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. I just told you I haven't.
Well, it's just easy enough to show it to you.
Okay.
All right, I marked it as Exhibit A. Are you looking at my screen right now?
I am.
All right. And is this your affidavit? Affidavit of Sharon Provost?
That's my name. Yes.
And several pages into this, there's a signature at the bottom. Is that your signature?
That is.
And you swore to what's contained in this affidavit under oath. Is that right?
As I knew it then, yes. If the numbers
Okay.
has changed, I do not know. But yes.
Well, it just says, who after being duly sworn does state and testify to the following.
And I
You see
said,
that
yes,
language?
as I knew it then, yes, that is true. A true
Okay.
statement. I do not lie. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you know,
I'm just letting you know, yeah,
yeah, you believed at the time that you were under oath when you made the statement.
that's correct.
All right. Have you reviewed this recently?
I have not.
When's the last time you think you read it?
I don't I can't recall.
This paragraph that starts with March 15, 2018, do you see that?
March 5th.
Sorry, March 5th, 2018. You can see that on your screen, right?
Again.
And this is that instance where Tom came to the office and asked for keys. Yes?
Yes.
And we've talked about most of what went on for that confrontation. Is that
No,
right?
you haven't. You haven't talked about when it says he then pushed her Pushed her back. You didn't talk
Oh,
about
okay, all right, well, we'll get to it. So tell me what you remember seeing.
Shouldn't I review this before we go over to make sure it's actually mine? I mean, I'm sure it is, but I mean, I haven't remember reading it. I don't remember everything it says. I don't recall.
You can read it if you'd like. Yes.
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Well, you can read it. Well, Bill makes the point that we didn't talk about everything that happened in that
Okay.
confrontation.
See, if
So
he wasn't here, you would have went right over my head.
Well, you tell me. I mean, when there was this argument about the keys, did Tom push Malvo?
Yeah, he was in front of my when they was arguing, they were in front of my desk.
And tell me what you saw.
I saw them yelling, her begging him to leave and asking him to leave, and him screaming and yelling at her. And he pushed he's got a big belly, and he pushed his belly up against her, and she went back. And I was telling him, I told him to get out, and he wouldn't leave. So I called the cops, and the cops came out and said that it was a civil matter, and that, there was nothing really they could do about it since he was then on the board.
All right.
That was a civil suit.
All right. Tom didn't push her with his hands. You said he
No, he pushed her. He pushed her back.
He bumped her with his belly.
Yeah, pretty hard. But I mean, his body.
Did she fall?
No, she stumbled back.
Did she take steps?
She stumbled. Yes, she had to take some steps.
But she was up against your desk, or she was just near your desk?
No, she was in front of my desk. They were right in front of me. So.
All right. Anything else you remember about that incident? Any other contact between the two of them?
That day?
Yeah.
Not that I don't remember.
All right. I'm going to put this on the screen so you can read it.
Okay.
Okay. Because I don't want to be accused of you not being able to read the exhibit.
All right. I appreciate it.
So this says, next morning he came into the office. Tom had broken into the filing cabinet where the manager kept the office petty cash and took some money.
Right.
See that sentence? Okay. And I think you said earlier you didn't see that, but that's the thing you said Tom Olson admitted to you or somebody else at some other point in time, right?
Right. Well, I mean, he admitted it. I mean, he went and got the keys. He, I believe he even came back with a key lock receipt. I'm not sure, with a whole thing of keys. I mean, we know what he used the $200 for, was all keys, but the whole point was he didn't have the right to do that.
Okay. Well, is there something else? I know the gist of all of this, where he says you say he went and got some keys and then took a deadbolt off the lock. So it says here, you say the day after it all happened, you re-entered the office to find my manager's office door was broken into. Okay, you see that?
Is it deadbolt? Which one?
Right here where my cursor is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you right here, he went through all her belongings. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this is not something you witnessed. You're saying that this is something that Tom Olson admitted at some other point in time.
Right. He's very arrogant. He'll tell you what he did. I mean, usually.
All right. And you're right, the office was a mess. What does that mean?
I mean, he had everything just thrown everywhere. Like, I mean, like someone that comes in that's really looking for something, just trashing your place. With that, the office was a mess.
All right. Now, the next part of your affidavit here says that on April 3rd, 2018, Tom Olson came to the office and went to your manager's office, and less than 5 minutes later, manager came out and said he just fired me. You see that part?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. And did you witness any of that?
I just witnessed him going in and shutting the door and talking to her. I mean, I don't know exactly what was said in that.
You witness anything else? I mean, was there some heated conversation or something that followed that?
No, nothing that I can recall. Conversation that followed what? Tom Wilson going in?
Yeah, I mean, earlier there was this thing about him pushing her with his belly.
That's a different day.
I know, but did you see something like that happening on this day?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. And that's when he told you that same day that Kathy was going to be the new managers, and along with Saif. Is that right?
That's correct.
Did you type this affidavit?
I did.
Did anybody assist you with it?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you prepare drafts? In other words, was this the first and final, or was there a draft of this made?
I can't recall.
Did somebody ask you to do this?
No, actually, we always wanted to write affidavits. This ain't the only one. There's a whole bunch of affidavits out there for people.
Are you right here in this paragraph? I was the assistant to the manager, so I did most of the work in the office, other than the duties of the manager. And then you say I ran the expense income reports, entered all transactions, posted to the accounts of both of our systems, balanced the balance sheet for the HOA, and entered our A&P and AR, I guess that's accounts payable and accounts receivable for the system, and much more. Do you see that?
Yes, those are some of the things that I would do for her if she asked me to do.
All right. Were those your duties?
Those are some of the things I did, yes, if she asked me.
Those are things that you did if Malvo asked you to do those.
Right, and most of the time she did them, but I could do them for her.
So those weren't your regular duties. Those were duties that if Malvo gave to you, you would do. Otherwise, they were normally her duties.
Yes. She would do them mainly, but I could do them if she asked me to do them.
You write here that you had access to the HOA accounts and so has detailed knowledge of all transactions that I could see. Do you see that sentence?
Yes, that was HOA accounts, meaning the bank statements.
You said you had access to the HOA accounts, right?
HOA accounts meaning what?
Well, you write here, I had access to the HOA accounts. You see that?
Yes, not bank accounts.
Well, what accounts did you have access to?
HOA, I don't even know what that one. I access HOA accounts. I guess the programs, the account programs.
Well,
now, what I could do. Go ahead.
So you had access to all of the HOA programs that kept its financial information.
Yeah, I couldn't. I would have access if she gave it. I didn't have credentials to get into what Malvo did. Now I got access to it through Gloria when she would give me access, but with Dorothy Malvo, she would do all of the accounting.
Well, you're right here that you had detailed knowledge of all the transactions that you could see.
I did have knowledge of it, yes.
So the access you had gave you access to the transactions for the HOA?
I'm not understanding your question.
Well, you're saying in your affidavit that you've got detailed knowledge of the transactions that you could see.
I would have, I could do reports, yes, but there's certain things I couldn't do.
Or what are the things that you could not do in the HOA system?
There was a manager's credentials that could only go in there and like to print checks or to do things like that. Now I could put in I could data enter checks and stuff like that and print, certain reports. There's some reports, I don't remember which ones they were, that I couldn't print. She would have to print. But I had access to all of the stuff that I needed to access to actually make a report for, any kind of homeowners transactions.
Right. Your affidavit says the checks came up missing from the office. Do you see that sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, I see it.
Tell me about that.
Yes, there was, I don't know exactly, I'd have to read this and we'll see because there's checks that came up missing twice. So I don't know which one this one was. I don't know if it was the blank checks. I know those came up missing. And then I was told by Kathy Hairbottle that Tom Olson had the checks at his house. I don't know if this is that affidavit or what.
Okay. Now, we have been through the association's finances, and you have identified all of the debits to its account, whether it's by check or by cash withdrawal, for the time period that Tom Olson had access, right?
Right.
Okay. Are you aware of any unaccounted for check where a check was written that it didn't show up somewhere on the HOA's account?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So if there were any checks that, and I know this talks about checks missing and checks being printed elsewhere, but whether they were missing or printed elsewhere, if they were written and got cashed, they would be included on the information that you've already compiled as part of your spreadsheet.
Yeah, it
right?
would come out of the bank statement. I'm going to be on the bank statements, of course, I would think.
You right here around the 1st of May, Tom got a debit card to Sterling Green's account. See that?
I do. He
Okay,
did.
and you say he started using it for personal reasons.
Right.
Okay. So what knowledge do you have of Tom Olson using Sterling Green's debit card for personal reasons?
I looked at the bank statements. Those were all personal. There was nothing to do with the association. I mean, iTunes is not for the association. That we didn't get any, I don't know what he was ordering from Amazon. A lot of that stuff,
We've got a list of those transactions, right? I mean, there isn't
Correct.
something else that you're adding.
Hmm?
I said there isn't anything else that you are adding.
No, you have everything.
You say you reported all this to Gloria Cox again, and this time she confronted Tom about it. You see that sentence?
Yes.
Were you present for some conversation between Gloria Cox and Tom Olson on this subject?
Yes, she actually confronted him in an open board meeting. And I can't recall which one it was. I think it was the one before the July 2nd.
All right. And we've already talked about this, but all the statements that Tom has made that you've already answered it. There's nothing else that you have to add in terms of statements Tom making about using association funds for personal reasons, right?
Right.
So this confrontation, or this, I guess it's a confrontation where Gloria Cox confronted Tom about it. That's something that supposedly happened at a board meeting.
Yeah, she confronted. I know that she told me that she had confronted him a few times, but I did see it myself at a board meeting.
Then you're right that Tom came to the office and told you you were suspended for 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about that conversation.
Tell you the truth, I can't remember what it was for. He came up to the office and said that I was suspended for 3 days and that I better not step foot on the property or he would have me arrested.
What did you say in response to
I'd
that?
have to read it. I can't really recall what was said. I didn't think that he had the authority to suspend me. At that time, I called Gloria, and then there was a board meeting that night. She told me, you know, and I called Dorothy Malvo and Linda Bass. All of them told me, do not listen to what Tom says. He doesn't have the authority to send you home, to come to the board meeting anyway. I mean, to the HOA meeting.
And you write here that there was a board meeting, and then Malvo called an executive meeting for just the board of directors. Do you see that?
I do, yes.
And were you in that meeting?
No, I was not.
But someone told you about what was said in that meeting?
Yes, when they came out, they said that we had a meeting about the employment and you, and that we have decided it was an unanimous that you only answer to Linda, not Linda, excuse me, Gloria and Dorothy. And then they told me that Tom said, well, she's your problem or whatever. And that he would not be, and they asked him, and they told him to not harass me anymore. And he agreed to leave me alone.
All right. You write later on, you noticed Tom withdraw 5,000 cash out of the account in the month of June. Is that something?
I guess if that's what it says, yes.
Or,
I'd have to review this. I mean, it's being put in front of my face. I've written it so long ago. And, you know, I'd have to actually look at it. You're asking me something.
well, I'm asking you.
If I wrote it, I'm sure that that's what happened.
Well, tell me about the instance where you noticed a withdrawal of $5,000 cash.
Yeah. So Gloria sent me the bank statements, and so when I noticed it, you know, it was like, wow, $5,000. Why would anybody draw $5,000? I mean, you got a card, you got checks, you know, you've already drew so much money already. So why would you need $5,000 more dollars anyway? So.
And again, you didn't have any personal knowledge then, and you don't have any personal knowledge now of what that cash was used for.
No, I just know it wasn't authorized. That's what I do know.
Okay. Same thing on the $3,800 that you mentioned here. You don't have any personal knowledge of what that cash was used for.
No, I don't know. I don't know what he used the cash for. I just know that he pulled it out without the authority to pull it out.
Did someone ever ask Tom Olson what he used those cash amounts for?
Yes, I mean, it was asked many times for receipts, and many times, you know, why he would do that. But
have you ever seen receipts, or did Tom Olson ever give you or the association receipts showing the use of those
no,
cash amounts?
I've never seen receipts. No.
Okay. But did you on some occasion ask Tom to provide you with receipts?
I didn't. I know that the board members asked him. I know some members of the association asked him. And I think it's always been, yeah, I'll bring them to the next meeting. I'll bring them to the next meeting. And there was never any receipts produced.
Well, it wasn't your job to keep track of the receipts, right?
Right.
Okay. And you're saying that Tom Olson said he would bring receipts. Did he make statements like that at board meetings?
Yes.
Did you hear him say things like that?
I did.
And do you know if he ever provided receipts?
As far as I know, he has not.
And if Tom Olson has receipts that show how that cash was used, that reflected being used the time frame close to when these withdrawals were made? Would you have any facts or any personal knowledge to refute that?
To refute what it was for?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to see I mean,
Right.
that's to be seen. I don't know. But it was done without authority, so it doesn't matter what it was spent on. It wasn't approved. You can't just take something and just use it without approval.
I understand that that's everyone's position
Okay.
on on the association side. I mean,
And the law, but hey,
yeah.
And the law.
I don't agree with Bill's misstatement of the law. So we'll
Taking something that don't belong to you, that would be theft.
I'll move to strike his sidebar comment and the non-responsive answer from the witness, just because we have a record. But I know Bill likes to talk and make a lot of comments anyway, so nobody really cares.
I've been pretty good during this one.
Yeah, you have been actually. For you, I guess. That's a joke, Bill.
I can handle it.
So let's see.
Just because my stomach's growling, don't worry about it.
I'm not thinking about your stomach.
Yeah, my kid's screaming for a bath and all kind of stuff. So yeah.
All right. When you write here that Tom has done so many unlawful activities and he's taken so much of the association's money in the 3 months he has been on the board, we've talked about all the money transactions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that you think that there's a lot of unlawful stuff or other activities that he shouldn't have done or did. Like for example, I think I read in the association's pleading that there was some instance where he shot a gun in a pool. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you witness that?
I did not witness it. I was inside the office. The maintenance staff, actually, their statements, they were out there. I know that they have gathered we had one of the maintenance men get in the pool and gathered the shells of the gun, but that was taken to Harris County.
Yeah.
So
Did some part of the association property get damaged in that incident?
I don't know if there's damage there or not. I haven't been under the pool to find out. I know it could be damaged or he could have killed someone. You don't bring a gun and start shooting it under the water. It won't make any sense. Don't bring a gun on property anyway where it's prohibited, much less shoot it.
Some of the checks that Tom wrote were for payroll. Is that right? Even though these are things that were supposedly unauthorized, right?
Okay. The payroll?
No, some of the checks that Tom wrote, some of these ones that you label as unauthorized, some of those were for
now
payroll.
what I call is unauthorized, and what you're saying that the boards call it unauthorized, I don't know if they authorize the payroll or not. I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't ask them.
You know of Tom writing any checks for payroll?
I do know of him doing it, yes.
I gotta finish my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Do you know of Tom writing any checks for payroll to employees who didn't earn that money as part of their pay?
Didn't earn their money?
Well, my question is, did Tom write a check for payroll to somebody who did not earn the money to be paid?
As far as I know, no, but I don't know how he would write a check. He's not, he shouldn't have been authorized to write checks, period. But as far as I know, I mean, people earn their money, they work for it. They should be giving it to them in the correct way.
Now, you met with Joshua Williams, the accountant that the association hired. Is that right?
Did I meet with him?
Yes.
I met him.
You met with Joshua Williams.
I met him before, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And did you know him before he was hired by the association?
Did I know him? No.
Yeah. Are you friends with him?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You don't have a personal relationship with him of any kind. He's just an accountant for the association.
That's
Yes.
true. Absolutely.
All right. Do you know what his relationship, if anything, is to anybody associated with the association?
With the only thing I know is that he did Gloria Cox's books at her business.
Okay.
So,
When you met with Joshua Williams for the first time, was that in person?
say that again.
When you met with Joshua Williams for the first time, was that in person?
When I met him for the first time, how else would I meet him?
When
You mean
when
like through
met
Zoom?
with him? No, when you met with him, did you meet with him in person? For the first time you met with him, was that in person?
First time I met with him was in person, yes.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking me? I'm not understanding. The first time I ever spoke with him, is that what you're asking? I mean, you got to make it kind of better clear.
Well, did you speak with him before you met him in person?
Okay, there you go. Not that I recall.
All right, so the first time you ever spoke with him would have been also the first time you would have been an occasion where you met with him in person.
Unless I set up the meeting through phone.
Right.
That would be the only time that I would talk to him.
And did you give him documents on that occasion where you met with him for the first time?
Occasion. No.
You met with him, you got together in person, yes?
Okay, you're trying to confuse me. Why don't you ask one question at a time?
I don't think he's trying to confuse you. It is confusing, but I don't think he's.
It's not
Okay.
confusing. It's very simple. It's just that I don't know why you think I'm trying to trip you up or something.
Because
It's very
I don't
simple.
get the question. Okay.
Did you
if
meet
I
with him in
spoke-
person and give him documents? That's a question.
I did speak with him in person. I know I did. I don't know if I gave him documents when I spoke with him or if I sent him documents through via email. I don't remember. I don't recall that.
Well, that's all you have to say. Some people
Yeah,
show
but I
up
didn't
at a
understand
meeting
your
with
question.
documents and
So if
hand it
someone
to them.
doesn't understand your question, just repeat it. That's it.
I've been doing that. And
Okay, well, good.
I've been getting
Continue,
all sorts of
please.
nonsense.
Don't talk to each other. Court reporter's being very nice. She can't take them
Okay.
both.
Sorry.
So you meet with Joshua Williams. This is a in-person meeting. Okay. Did you bring documents to that meeting?
I can't recall whether there was documents at that meeting or not.
At some point in time, did you provide Mr. Williams with documents so that he could do his work?
Yes.
Tell me all of the things that you gave to him.
I gave him the bank statements from January 2018 to I believe it was to I guess at the present time of when he was doing it, bank statements, canceled checks, anything and everything I had from the bank.
All right.
That was it.
Did you also, and here I'm going to show you this
Okay.
because he gave it to us.
Okay.
So I may as well show it to you. Let me mark it as an exhibit first. Stupid thing.
Council, while you're doing that, can I have a moment for a media change?
Yeah, I guess, sure. How long is that gonna take?
Just off and on the record.
Okay, let's go off the record real fast.
Off the record, 6:40 p.m.